Sometimes you wake up from a dream and it clings to you. It's
Yeah.
not just the fragments you remember, but that profound feeling that something fundamental shifted, or maybe that you weren't merely dreaming, but were actually somewhere else entirely.
Oh, totally. It's that weird, uncanny space, isn't it?
Yeah. And when that sensation lingers, it truly makes you wonder how much of what we experience as real is truly the only reality we inhabit.
It's more than just a feeling, isn't it? It's that gap between what your waking mind, you know, rigidly defined as acceptable and what your sleeping mind just processed is utterly undeniable.
Exactly.
What is that deeply felt, almost visceral sense of an alternate existence? It defies our everyday logic.
Absolutely. That profound sense of an underlying reality that just won't let go, that's precisely the rabbit hole we're diving into today.
Okay.
This deep dive is about meticulously pulling back the veil on those intricate, often blurred lines between our inner and outer worlds, between the tangible and the seemingly mystical.
Right. Going beyond just the surface stuff.
We're going beyond the surface level facts that only touch the periphery. Our mission is to uncover the underlying mechanisms and the profound meanings behind experiences that defy simple reductive explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing past the readily available information to find the deeper currents that connect consciousness, spiritual guidance, and even the very concept of multiple dimensions of existence.
Yeah.
We're here to explore what it truly means to be well-informed about the unseen, the unheard, and the unquantifiable aspects of our lives.
And crucially, it's about recognizing that our conventional definition of reality might just be far too narrow,
Yeah.
constrained by what our five senses can perceive.
Right. Limited bandwidth.
Totally.
Yeah.
What we often dismiss as just a dream or just a feeling or even just a coincidence could in fact be profound intelligence, intricate communication, or an entirely different facet of existence actively at play.
It's about learning to perceive beyond the obvious.
Exactly. Sharpening different senses, maybe.
So let's anchor ourselves in something almost universally experienced: dreams.
Okay. Good starting point.
The official narrative, particularly from a scientific perspective, has given us a wealth of information about what happens when we close our eyes and drift off. We know that REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, is where the vast majority of our most vivid, often bizarre dreams happen.
Right. The really weird ones.
But what's truly astonishing about this stage of sleep is the physiological paradox it presents. Your brain, during REM, is intensely active, sometimes even more active than when you're wide awake.
Yeah, it's buzzing.
Yet your body, it's almost entirely paralyzed, a state known as atonia. Your motor neurons are essentially turned off to prevent you from acting out your dreams. Imagine the chaos otherwise.
It's an incredible design, really. If you look at the symptoms of REM sleep objectively, it's basically a temporary, controlled, and quite necessary psychosis.
Psychosis? That sounds extreme.
Well, think about it. You're experiencing vivid hallucinations, right? Believing things that couldn't possibly be true in waking life. You're disoriented about time and place.
Okay.
Your emotions are wildly fluctuating, often amplified like crazy. And then, mercifully, you wake up with little to no memory of most of it, amnesia.
Sure.
Any one of those symptoms during waking hours would rightfully send you straight to a psychiatrist. Yet at night, it's not only normal, it's absolutely vital for our mental and emotional well-being.
So the madness has a method.
Completely. What's even more fascinating is why this temporary madness is so essential for our daily functioning.
If it's truly necessary, what are the primary functions science has identified? And what's the most surprising one, in your view?
Well, the science points to a few established critical functions. The first, and perhaps most widely recognized, is memory consolidation.
Right. Sorting the day's data.
Exactly. Dreams are essentially integrating recent experiences with long-term memories. It's not just about archiving information or cramming facts you learned that day.
It's more active than that.
Much more. It's like your brain is actively sorting through the vast data stream of your waking hours, turning over information to figure out what's truly important and useful for your future. How it connects to existing knowledge, where it fits into your broader understanding of the world. It prioritizes what stays and what can fade. It's like deep learning.
So it's like a super efficient nocturnal data analyst rather than just a passive storage facility. It's trying to categorize and prioritize what you've experienced so it can be more readily applied later.
Precisely. And then there's emotional processing, which I find particularly profound. REM sleep acts as a kind of emotional first aid.
Emotional first aid. I like that.
It helps disentangle the emotional load from difficult or challenging experiences you encountered during the day. Think of it as nocturnal therapy.
Okay.
Your brain can reprocess those heavy feelings and anxieties without the full, overwhelming weight of the waking emotional response.
How does it do that?
Well, the specific neurochemical environment during REM is key. Noradrenaline, that's a stress hormone, is significantly reduced.
Ah, so less stress chemical allows for calmer processing.
Exactly. It allows your brain to refile emotional memories in a calmer, less activated state, taking the sting out, essentially.
It's a crucial detox for the emotional residue of the day, allowing us to wake up with a cleaner slate, less burdened by the emotional intensity of yesterday's challenges.
Right.
This is where you see the brain actively working to maintain psychological equilibrium, almost like a self-regulating system.
But where it gets really interesting, and perhaps most relevant to our deep dive, is the creativity and problem-solving aspect.
Ah, the breakthroughs in sleep.
Yes. During dream sleep, the brain makes these incredibly looser associations. We've got a fascinating shift in neurochemistry going on.
What's happening chemically?
Your noradrenaline levels, which keep you sharply focused and rational during the day, significantly drop. But at the same time, acetylcholine levels, crucial for memory, learning, and activating certain brain regions, actually rise.
Okay, so less focus, more memory activation.
Kind of, this unique cocktail essentially disinhibits your brain, freeing it from the rigid, linear thinking patterns of waking consciousness. It allows for what they call divergent thinking.
Divergent thinking, meaning?
Meaning, your mind isn't stuck on the most obvious, well-trodden paths.
Yeah.
It can make truly novel, non-obvious connections that your waking, logical mind might filter out or dismiss as silly.
So it's like when you're awake, your brain's Google search goes straight to page 1, giving you the most obvious, commonly accepted links.
Right. The usual suspects.
But in dream sleep, that same search might spontaneously jump to page 35, pulling up something utterly bizarre at first glance.
Exactly.
Yet, if you squint your eyes, metaphorically speaking, you suddenly see it's a non-obvious but incredibly smart connection you never would have made consciously.
Yes. It's a completely different kind of logic, a sort of intuitive leap.
This is why you hear so many stories about breakthroughs happening during sleep. Artists finding inspiration, scientists solving complex equations, or business leaders suddenly seeing a path forward.
Kekulé and the benzene ring structure, famously.
Right. Or remember the snowboarder who was totally average in waking life, but in his dream he was Shaun White, nailing impossible tricks.
Yeah.
That's the brain solving problems, integrating.
Right. Maybe that fuzzy logic isn't fuzzy at all.
Maybe it's actually a more direct channel to our intuition and subconscious wisdom, signals we need to learn to decode, which our busy, linear, waking minds tend to dismiss.
It's a powerful argument for paying closer attention to the signals we receive when our guard is down, when the ego is quieted.
Definitely. It's a different kind of intelligence.
And then there's this unseen narrative of implicitly remembered dreams. What if you're not even consciously remembering most of your dreams, but they're still continually shaping your behavior, your decisions, your preferences?
Whoa. So forgotten dreams still having an effect.
Potentially, yeah. It's like memories that are available somewhere in your neural network, but not always accessible to conscious recall.
Okay, I think I know that feeling.
You know the feeling, you wake up, you know you were dreaming, you just can't quite grasp it, and 2 days later, you're looking at a, I don't know, shampoo bottle, and suddenly a whole vivid sequence from that dream floods back.
Yeah, that happens.
That means the memory was always there, lurking, just unavailable for conscious retrieval at first.
Which raises massive questions about the brain's true storage capacity and how much of our daily lives are implicitly guided by these nocturnal experiences.
It's huge.
Just like those old, kind of ethically dubious movie theater studies where flashing a Pepsi can for milliseconds subconsciously influenced people to buy Pepsi.
Right, subliminal stuff.
Our dreams could be embedding information, subtly shifting our perspectives, influencing our behaviors without our conscious awareness. It's a hidden influence, a constant, subtle reprogramming.
The official narrative says, you forget most dreams, so they're gone and irrelevant. But the unseen narrative is, they're still there, shaping you, guiding you in ways you don't even realize.
It makes you wonder who's truly driving the bus of your daily life, your conscious self or this vast, dreaming subconscious?
It's a powerful undercurrent shaping your reality. So if our dreams are subtly reprogramming us, implicitly influencing our waking actions, imagine the potential impact when consciousness itself feels like it completely transcends the physical.
Okay, where are we going with this?
This leads us to something truly extraordinary: out-of-body experiences, or OBEs.
Ah, right,
This
OBEs.
is the sensation of consciousness being located outside the physical body, perceiving the world from a vantage point detached from one's physical form.
Not just a dream, but feeling like you're actually out.
Exactly. It's a phenomenon reported across cultures and throughout history, with an estimated prevalence of like 10–20% of the population experiencing at least one.
Yeah.
So not that uncommon.
But 10 to 20%, that's way higher than I would have guessed.
It is surprisingly high. And it's important to be clear. This is distinct from near-death experiences, or NDEs, which happen specifically when someone is clinically close to death.
Okay, that's a key difference.
OBEs can occur spontaneously in healthy individuals under a variety of circumstances: stress, relaxation, even just waking up or falling asleep.
That distinction is crucial because it challenges the idea that such experiences are purely a function of extreme physiological distress, like dying.
Right.
From a purely physiological standpoint, some theories suggest OBEs are distorted perceptions, often linked to issues in somatosensory and vestibular integration.
Okay, break that down.
Basically, problems in how your brain processes information from your body, where your limbs are, touch, pressure, and your sense of balance. The signals get jumbled. We've seen links to conditions like epilepsy, severe headaches, or even the use of certain substances like ketamine. These theories posit that the brain misinterprets sensory signals, creating the illusion of being outside the body.
So it's just a misfiring of the brain, essentially, the glitch in the sensory processing unit. That's one prominent take from the traditional scientific view.
Right, the neurological explanation.
There's also the psychological interpretation, where OBEs are seen as a form of mental dissociation, a detachment from reality.
Like zoning out, but on a much grander scale.
Kind of, yeah. Sometimes even seen as a coping mechanism for severe trauma, a way to mentally escape an unbearable situation by feeling like you're not in your body.
And while those explanations try to contain the phenomenon within known physiological or psychological frameworks, the experiences themselves often defy such neat containment.
How so?
Participants frequently describe OBEs as more vivid and authentic than everyday reality.
More real than real.
Yeah. One person recounted an astral projection experience where they consciously reached out to touch their mattress from above, and it literally wasn't there, like their hand passed through where it should be.
Whoa. Okay.
That level of profound sensory detail, that undeniable sense of reality, truly pushes back against a purely reductionist physiological explanation. It forces us to ask, if something feels more real than reality itself, what does that tell us about our definition of real?
And that's precisely where the idea of non-local consciousness comes in, which is the unseen narrative here.
Non-local consciousness, meaning consciousness isn't just stuck in the brain.
Exactly. This interpretation suggests that consciousness isn't strictly a product of the brain at all, but rather exists beyond it. It posits that consciousness might reside in other planes or dimensions, or perhaps it's a fundamental aspect of a larger, universal consciousness that the brain merely accesses or filters, like a radio receiver tuning into a broadcast.
So the brain is the antenna, not the source of the signal.
That's the idea. If you look at cutting-edge research, like the ongoing Columbia University and IONS Institute of Noetic Sciences studies, they are actively trying to map psychic abilities to brain structure.
Okay.
But what does it mean if some OBEs, these incredibly real experiences, are best explained by the concept of non-local consciousness? It implies the brain is just one part of a much larger, more complex system.
It fundamentally challenges everything we think we know about where our thoughts and experiences originate. The existing scientific model, for all its rigor, struggles to fully account for these more real-than-real experiences without resorting to ideas of something fundamentally beyond the physical brain.
It really does.
It raises the question, could the brain itself be a conduit for something far grander than we currently comprehend?
And this leads us to a fascinating psychological inquiry, too. Is dissociation always linked to pathology, to trauma, or is it a natural human capacity that, in certain circumstances, allows for profound experiences and insights?
Like a feature, not a bug sometimes.
Maybe. When an OBE is described as more vivid than reality, what does that tell us about our everyday definition of reality? Perhaps these experiences are deeply personalized, idiosyncratic pathways for individuals to access unique insights or process their experiences in ways that aren't possible within the confines of our normal waking state.
Like shifting to a different operating system temporarily.
Sort of. It's like our waking reality is a low-resolution image, and OBEs are suddenly rendered in 4K, forcing us to question the hierarchy of experience. If trauma can lead to dissociation as a coping mechanism, perhaps other forms of dissociation, when not tied to pathology, are actually the brain's innate capacity to access alternative modes of being, to gain a wider perspective or process complex information from an altered vantage point. It suggests a vast untapped potential within the human psyche.
So, if our minds can access other states and even apparently leave the physical body, it's not such a huge leap, maybe, to consider the profound idea of parallel
Right,
realities.
moving from inner space to potentially outer or other spaces.
What's truly remarkable is that both cutting-edge science and ancient spiritual traditions, despite their wildly different methodologies and timescales of development, actually seem to point to a vast, complex, multidimensional reality with numerous, potentially infinite coexisting versions of everything.
It's an absolutely fascinating convergence, isn't
Yeah.
it? A mirroring of concepts from entirely disparate fields. It's kind of wild.
Totally. On the scientific side, we have compelling multiverse theories. The most prominent is the many worlds interpretation, MWI, of quantum mechanics.
Many worlds. Hugh Everett's idea.
Yeah, and this isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a direct consequence of the mathematics of quantum physics, as some interpret it. It posits that every single quantum event, every decision you make, every interaction at the subatomic level causes the universe to branch into infinite copies where all possible outcomes occur.
So you flip a coin.
It lands heads in one universe, tails in another. You make a choice, and a version of you goes left, another goes right, and both continue to exist in their own branching realities. It's an infinite splitting constantly happening.
Which means there's a version of you right now making that wildly different career choice, or maybe still in bed this morning.
Or having eaten something else for breakfast, yeah. It's staggering to contemplate. And then there's string theory, or M theory, which takes us even further.
Into more dimensions.
Exactly. It suggests the existence of multiple hidden dimensions beyond the four we perceive, three spatial, one temporal. Within these higher dimensions, there could be vastly different parallel universes, each potentially with its own unique physical laws.
Different structures, even different fundamental constants. Imagine universes where gravity behaves differently, or where light travels at a different speed. It's mind-bending.
Totally. And cosmology gives us the inflationary multiverse theory.
The bubble universes idea.
Right. This theory suggests that during the Big Bang, space expanded at different rates in different regions, creating an endless number of bubble universes that are effectively isolated from each other, each with its own Big Bang, potentially its own laws.
So whether it's every decision branching reality or vast isolated bubbles, modern science is grappling with an unimaginable scale of existence beyond our singular perceived experience.
It's forcing us to reevaluate what universe even means. It might be just one instance in a vast multiverse.
But what's truly incredible, as you said, is how these modern scientific concepts have been echoed in various forms by ancient spiritual traditions for millennia.
Yeah, the parallels are striking. Take Hinduism and Vedanta, for example, with their intricate cosmologies that describe multiple lokas or worlds and dimensions, each existing at different vibrational frequencies.
And these aren't just abstract concepts in those traditions, right? They are realms that can supposedly be accessed through meditation or spiritual practice.
Exactly. Or consider Buddhism, where the concepts of reincarnation and the Bardo state, that intermediate state of existence between death and rebirth, suggest infinite potential incarnations and timelines based on one's karma.
Each life, in a sense, can be seen as a different dimension of reality, a different timeline playing out specific lessons and experiences. It's a very fluid, dynamic understanding of existence.
Then you have Native American and shamanic traditions, which speak of vivid dream worlds, spirit realms, and other dimensions that coexist with our physical world.
Often accessed through altered states of consciousness or ceremonial practices, right? Shamans literally journey between these realms for knowledge, healing, guidance.
Seeing them as equally real and impactful as our physical reality, not just metaphors.
And in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, we find the Tree of Life, with its sephiro, describing layers of reality as interconnected dimensions or emanations from the divine. Each sephira represents a different aspect of existence, a different energetic plane.
Similarly, Gnostic and Hermetic traditions speak of ascending to higher, purer realms through spiritual enlightenment, transcending the limitations of the material world.
The language is different, the metaphors are distinct, but the underlying concept of a reality far more expansive and multidimensional than what we perceive with our five senses is remarkably consistent across time and culture.
It's this profound, almost uncanny convergence between these two seemingly disparate fields, both science through its empirical observation and mathematical models, and spirituality through its ancient wisdom traditions and inner exploration.
Both pointing towards a reality that is vast, complex, and profoundly multidimensional, with numerous, perhaps infinite coexisting versions.
It truly reshapes how we view the cosmos and our seemingly singular place within it. So, the profound insight here is that the very fabric of reality, from the subatomic to the cosmological, points to a multiplicity of existence that fundamentally redefines our understanding of what is real.
It's mind-bending, seriously. But what does this grand cosmological idea, this convergence of science and spirit on the multiverse, have to do with our individual everyday experience?
Right, how does it land?
How do these theories of infinite universes connect to the feeling you get when you wake up and the world just feels slightly off? Or when you experience a memory that doesn't quite fit your timeline?
This is where we get into the deeply personal idea of soul fractals and timeline bleeding.
Soul fractals.
Okay.
Unpack that.
The core concept is that your soul isn't just a singular entity confined to living one linear life. Instead, it's multidimensional, an infinite consciousness that, with every significant choice you make, every quantum event in your experience, fractures into many expressions across different potential timelines.
So infinite versions of you are living out infinite possibilities simultaneously.
Exactly. Think of your soul as a prism. And each choice is a ray of light splitting into countless colors, each color a different version of your life unfolding right now.
Wow. It's radical self-responsibility on a cosmic scale, isn't it? Every decision, big or small, isn't just about this life or this moment.
It's about literally splitting the universe open with a new version of yourself, a new timeline.
And while your conscious mind, bound to this specific reality, can only track one path, your energetic field, your higher self, is apparently connected to all of them.
Suggesting a profound, unseen interconnectedness across all possible versions of you.
And what you've often described as timeline bleeding is the fascinating, sometimes unsettling experience of influences from these parallel selves leaking into your current reality.
Right. It's those moments of incredibly strong déjà vu, that inexplicable feeling the world is subtly off or out of sync.
Yeah, like the matrix glitching.
Vivid memories of things that didn't happen in this life but feel intensely real. Sudden bursts of anxiety with no clear source. Haunting dreams that feel more like alternate lives.
Or even sudden aversions or new skills that you never formally learned or consciously developed, like suddenly knowing how to do something weirdly specific.
Exactly. These aren't random glitches. They're breadcrumbs, subtle clues, or energetic echoes that another version of you is influencing or even actively communicating with this one.
I mean, I've heard and experienced incredible personal anecdotes that make this concept feel undeniably real. There was someone who vividly described feeling the acute, almost physical pain of an alternate self who chose a very different path leading to divorce. And that pain was suddenly triggered by a specific unrelated song on the radio, as if a portal briefly opened between those timelines.
That's intense.
Or the profound, vivid dream of being a universe traveler, where they discover that universes are literally nestled inside everything, from a single atom to a galaxy, and that inner and outer space are fundamentally connected, a direct, embodied sense of universal oneness.
Wow.
These experiences aren't just metaphors or abstract thoughts. They're perceived as profound, direct insights into a truly multidimensional self.
It suggests that this timeline bleeding isn't a glitch in the matrix, but rather a deliberate spiritual mechanism that becomes increasingly accessible as our individual and collective consciousness expands.
Yeah, maybe it's part of the upgrade package.
Maybe. But it makes you wonder, if trauma isn't always solely here in this current reality, but also there in another timeline experienced by a different version of you.
Okay.
What are the profound implications for traditional healing approaches? Does therapy need to account for parallel life trauma?
That's a huge question. And what kind of radical self-responsibility is truly required when we understand ourselves not just as passive receivers of circumstances, but as active creators of these infinite timelines?
Because every single decision we make, every conscious choice, splits the universe open.
Right. And if that's the case, what does it truly mean to collapse timelines? by aligning with a higher frequency. People talk about that a lot.
Yeah, what does that mean?
This framework suggests it isn't about getting something new, like manifesting a car out of thin air. It's about matching the frequency of a reality that already exists, where a more aligned, healed, or thriving version of you is already flourishing. You tune into that reality.
So manifestation is frequency matching, not creation ex nihilo.
That's the idea. And that's the unseen narrative here. If our current reality feels stuck, if we're carrying an inexplicable heaviness, a persistent anxiety, or a sense of unfulfilled potential.
Could it truly be an echo or a bleed-through from a version of us carrying pain in another timeline, actively asking for integration and healing?
That's the implication. It suggests a systemic, energetic connection across our entire multidimensional self that requires conscious integration for true wholeness.
So our healing work here isn't just for us in this present moment.
It's for the entire fractal of our soul across all realities. It demands a fundamental shift from a linear cause and effect understanding of personal struggle to a quantum interconnected view of our entire being.
The profound insight is that your healing in this life is a multidimensional act of integration that literally resonates across every version of your existence, redefining personal struggle as an opportunity for universal alignment.
Yeah, it really elevates the stakes of personal work, doesn't it?
This profound understanding of our multidimensional nature naturally brings us to the fascinating and ancient concept of guidance, the idea that we're not alone in navigating these complex, often unseen realities.
Right. Help along the way.
People across cultures and millennia have spoken about spirit guides, entities often described as chosen before birth or assigned to aid spiritual growth throughout one's life.
The classic idea.
Yet other equally compelling perspectives suggest they're more psychological, like personified parts of our unconscious mind's powerful archetypes.
Union stuff.
Or even extensions of our own higher selves, existing as aspects of our ultimate integrated being, helping us find wholeness.
So, external beings versus internal aspects personified. Or maybe both.
Maybe both. Whether they are external entities or profound internal wisdom made manifest, the consensus is that humans, at some level, seek and perhaps need guidance, direction, and support beyond their own conscious capabilities.
And it's interesting because in modern times, the concept of spirit guides has, like many spiritual concepts, become heavily commercialized. You see countless courses, oracle decks, workshops promising instant connection.
Yeah, meet your guide in 5 easy steps.
Exactly. But despite this new ageification and potential commodification, it's fundamentally a deeply ingrained, shared human experience that retains profound value.
You think so?
Absolutely. Coming into authentic contact with a guide, regardless of how you ultimately define them, can mark a significant point of change and transformation in your life, often catalyzing growth and shifts in perspective that seem otherwise impossible.
And they can take so many diverse forms, which is part of their mystery and universality. They're not just the stereotypical animals or angelic beings you might see depicted.
Right, not just angels and spirit wolves.
They can appear as mythical creatures from ancient lore, revered ancestors, an ancient god or goddess from a pantheon, or even as more abstract, energetic presences.
Some people describe them as just a soft gust of air that makes the hairs on your arms stand up, an inexplicable feeling of warmth, or a sudden, clear thought dropping in.
While others report encountering a full-blown, vivid, godly being met during a shamanic journey or a deep meditative state. It runs the gamut.
And you can have major guides who are with you for an entire lifetime, teaching overarching lessons and guiding your core path.
The lifelong companions.
And then minor guides who pop in for temporary assistance with specific daily concerns or challenges, like specialists for certain tasks.
Okay. And the methods for connecting with them are equally diverse, reflecting the varied ways human consciousness can explore non-ordinary reality.
Right, it's not one size fits all. Scrying, for example, gazing into reflective surfaces like water, a black mirror, or a crystal ball to induce a visionary state.
Kind of like staring into the void until something stares back.
Sort of, yeah. Or dream work, where you consciously set an intention before bed to meet your guide, then diligently record your dreams and look for recurring symbols, figures, or patterns that emerge.
Requires discipline, that one.
Definitely. Even learning to lucid dream is seen as a powerful way to make direct, conscious contact, allowing for interaction within the dreamscape itself.
Absolutely. Silencing the mind through meditation is another common and often profound way. By quietening the incessant chatter of the conscious mind, you open a channel for more subtle, intuitive signals.
Creating space for the whispers. And visualization is key too. Imagining yourself walking down a dark staircase into a white room where your guide is waiting, or envisioning a specific place where you might meet them. Setting the stage internally.
Some even use psychoactive journeying, often with plant medicines, though with the crucial caveat that such journeys often bring what you need to see, not necessarily what your ego wants to see.
Right. You might get a cosmic kaleidoscope of personal insights instead of a clear linear conversation with a specific guide. It's not always direct Q&A.
And the experience of their presence isn't always auditory, as we mentioned. It can be an undeniable inner knowing, a sudden flash of insight, a spark of light seen with the inner eye.
Or even distinct physical sensations like tingling, warmth, pressure, or a feeling of being embraced. The overarching guiding principle, regardless of the method, is to listen for what is often described as the voice of love or the highest wisdom.
What does that mean, voice of love?
The guidance that pulls you back from fear to faith, that offers creative solutions, and that encourages growth and expansion rather than limitation and contraction.
Okay.
From the perspective of the unseen narrative, if spirit guides are truly personified parts of our higher selves, how does this relate to the idea of soul fractals and the urgent task of unifying our scattered multidimensional selves?
Good question.
Is connecting with a guide a direct way to access the wisdom of a more integrated, higher frequency version of ourselves? Perhaps the voice of love isn't external at all, but our own multidimensional self guiding us back to wholeness and alignment.
That's a profound thought. It makes you wonder if these experiences are truly external entities, or if they are powerful internal processes being externalized in a way our conscious minds can comprehend and interact with.
Exactly.
How does this interplay between the internal and external shape our understanding of guidance and where true wisdom ultimately resides?
This dual nature is absolutely key. The official narrative, particularly in many popular spiritual circles, often says spirit guides are purely external entities that come to you. Pretty straightforward.
Right.
But the unseen narrative asks a deeper question. Are they externalized aspects of our own deeper being, perhaps from the collective unconscious, appearing in forms we can understand and interact with?
It's probably not either, is it?
Likely not. It's a spectrum. And the true power and insight may lie in the conscious integration of both perspectives, recognizing the profound wisdom that comes from within, even if it presents itself in an externalized form.
And when we talk about ancestral guidance, it gets even more fascinating when we look at specific cultural contexts like spiritist mediumship, particularly within Afro-Cuban religions such as Lukumi or Palomonte.
Yes, this is powerful stuff.
These practices aren't just about spiritual connection, they serve as a powerful means of historical mediation, directly connecting with Black ancestral presence and addressing the enduring legacies of the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism.
It's deeply embedded in history and resistance.
They hold spiritual masses, or misas espirituales, which ingeniously integrate Christian elements like gospel songs, hymns, and even the figure of Jesus.
But not to erase their African roots.
Right, exactly the opposite. It's to access the Christian dead and incorporate diverse ancestral lineages, African, European, and indigenous, into a cohesive, empowered spiritual framework. It's incredibly syncretic.
This is a profound strategic example of ritual piracy. Think of it not as mere theft or superficial copying, but a highly sophisticated and ingenious act of appropriation.
Ritual piracy. Explain that.
It's where historically marginalized communities take elements from dominant cultural and religious forms like Christian hymns or iconography and twist them, recontextualize them, and infuse them with their own meaning and power.
So using the tools of the oppressor for liberation.
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
Hijacking the master's tools to dismantle the master's house, reclaiming agency, and reconstituting Black identity within a global African diaspora.
Yeah.
These traditions speak of a quadro espiritual, or spiritual portrait, a unique configuration of 5 to 7 distinct spirit guides that influence an individual's proclivities, character, and conduct throughout their life.
A personal spiritual team.
And these are not just generic archetypes. They embody historically contingent, subjugated experience and counter memories, bringing the wisdom and often the unhealed trauma of the past directly into the present to critique and transform it. This is where the unseen narrative truly ferociously critiques systems of power and oppression.
It's incredibly powerful and deeply resonant. They invoke guides like buffalo soldiers who fought in segregated units, Roman Catholic clerics reflecting the complexities of colonial conversion.
Or First Peoples, who in this context are often equated with Central Africans, highlighting the indigenous roots of many Afro-Cuban traditions, and even gypsy spirits, representing nomadic and often marginalized Roma groups.
And you see incredibly vivid examples of this cultural and spiritual alchemy, like the use of Madonna statuettes. These figures, often mistakenly seen by outsiders as caricatures like Aunt Jemima.
Right, a complete misreading.
They are reappropriated and elevated to honor Big Mama figures, wise matriarchs who provide practical, earthly guidance. These statuettes become powerful conduits for addressing everyday concerns like employment, housing, or relationships, anchoring the spiritual and the tangible struggles of daily life.
It's brilliant. And the altars, called bovedas, are meticulously decorated with personal items, water glasses, or dolls to deepen acquaintance and intimacy with these specific spirits, creating a direct, living connection.
It's a literal replaying of the past with a flipped script. Formerly marginalized figures, oppressed in their lifetime, gain profound authority and wisdom in the spirit realm, directly offering a powerful critique of contemporary inequality rooted in the ongoing historical trauma of the transatlantic slave trade and its economic repercussions.
Exactly. When a medium channeling a spirit tells an artisan, "Those days are over, we's free now," mimicking the grammar of plantation slaves, it's not just a message.
It's a political act.
It's a direct, embodied protest against ongoing economic exploitation and systemic symbolic violence. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about reshaping it from the inside out by reclaiming ancestral power and giving voice to the unheard. This process of engendering a sensuous similarity between practitioner and spirit highlights a profound psychological and cultural integration. It allows the categories of self and other to become malleable, fluid in such rituals, enabling profound collective healing and the formation of a resilient, empowered identity.
The profound insight here is that engaging with ancestral guidance, especially for marginalized communities, is a powerful act of spiritual and cultural resistance, transforming historical trauma into a source of present-day power and profound social critique.
Absolutely. It's activism on a spiritual plane with real-world impact.
And this incredible exploration of guidance, both internal and external, personal and ancestral, leads us to a crucial question that ties all of this together: the idea of the chosen one and the essential practice of ethical discernment.
Ah, the chosen one trope. It's everywhere.
It is an ancient, pervasive archetype in mythology and fantasy, from Gilgamesh to King Arthur to the Bible, and of course, Star Wars. It suggests a rare, destined individual with unique gifts.
Luke Skywalker, Neo, Harry Potter.
Right. But then you have this powerful counter-narrative, particularly prevalent in many psychic communities, that says psychic abilities aren't gifts at all in the sense of being exclusive to a few.
What's the counter-narrative?
Instead, they are inherent, universal human capabilities that anyone can activate and develop, much like learning a language or a musical instrument.
Yep.
We all have the potential.
And this is where the official narrative of spiritual gifts can actually be subtly disempowering and, in a sense, slow people down from discovering their own inherent abilities.
How so?
If everyone is psychic, or at least has the potential, then framing it as a rare gifted status creates a false statistical threshold that might suppress these capacities in the general population.
It subtly suggests that you either have it or you don't, rather than it being a skill to hone.
Precisely. This raises a critical question. Who benefits from people not believing they have these inherent capacities? Is there a systemic or societal factor at play that encourages us to outsource our intuition and power, rather than cultivate it within ourselves?
It's a fundamental power dynamic at play, keeping power concentrated.
It could be argued that way, yeah.
And if everyone can access these abilities, and if we are indeed receiving guidance from unseen forces or even our higher selves, then how do we know if the guidance we're getting, whether from a spirit guide, an ancestor, or even from our own intuition, is actually right or beneficial?
That's the million-dollar question. Because the sources, and frankly experience, suggest that spirit guides, just like humans, can have their own biases, limited perspectives.
Or even in rare cases, malicious intent. Can they be wrong or deceitful?
The consensus in many nuanced traditions is yes, they absolutely can. They are not infallible. They might be operating from a different level of understanding or have their own agendas, conscious or not.
Yeah. This is an absolutely critical ethical point that often gets overlooked in the more romanticized views of spiritual guidance, like "my guides told me," is presented as unquestionable truth.
Exactly. The official spiritual guidance often frames guides as universally benevolent, omniscient, and always right. But the unseen narrative reveals a necessary skepticism and warns against taking every word as gospel.
Applies to human gurus too, right?
Absolutely. This applies to any external guidance, whether it's from a human teacher, a channeled entity, or even a compelling internal voice that feels separate. You simply have to weigh it against your own inner knowledge, your own integrity, and your own highest good.
So check it against your gut, your values.
Definitely. Not everything that sounds profound is necessarily true or helpful for you in your specific situation. Discernment is key.
So the practical implication here is the paramount importance of self-trust and developing your own inner wisdom, your own discernment, rather than solely relying on external validation or unquestioning obedience to an external source.
It has to come back to you. Ethical guidelines for spiritual companions, for instance, emphasize clarifying roles and responsibilities, acting as a spiritual guide themselves rather than a legal document or a set of rigid commandments.
They're prompts for reflection, not rules.
Exactly. These guidelines invite deep personal reflection and adaptation, not blind adherence. They empower the seeker to remain sovereign in their own journey.
Sovereign, that's the word.
It's all about empowering the individual to reclaim their own agency. Why is there such a strong human desire for chosenness or for external guidance?
Good question. Is it comfort, fear of responsibility?
Maybe both. Is it a psychological need to outsource difficult decisions, to find an external authority, or perhaps to avoid the radical self-responsibility that comes with being the architect of your own reality? We must balance the desire for connection with unseen forces and profound wisdom with the essential need for critical thinking and personal autonomy.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. If the ultimate goal of all this exploration of dreams, OBEs, parallel timelines, and guides is truly healing across timelines and unifying our soul stream, as some of these ideas suggest, then perhaps the truest guide isn't out there at all. It's the fully integrated self, the version of you that embodies wholeness, has transcended fragmentation, and trusts its own profound inner compass.
It's not about finding the guide outside, it's about becoming the guide within. Wow.
That could be the ultimate integration.
And that, I think, brings us back to that initial question, full circle, but with a completely reshaped understanding of what reality truly means.
It always does, doesn't it? It's a journey that continually folds back on itself, deepening our understanding each time.
So when we consider the vibrant and often perplexing landscapes of our dreams, the experiences that appear to pull us completely out of our physical bodies, and the dizzying concept of infinite versions of ourselves living across parallel timelines, what does it truly mean to navigate reality? Is the greatest power not in waiting to be found as a chosen one, or in blindly following an external guide, but in becoming the conscious architect of your own multidimensional experience here and now, integrating all these fragments into a cohesive, powerful whole?
It's about recognizing that you are the central node, the anchor, the convergence point of infinite selves and infinite possibilities. And the question then becomes, what signals are you truly receiving from these vast unseen realities?
What new, empowering narratives are you consciously creating for yourself and your collective?
And ultimately, which version of you are you ready to become next, right here, right now?
This episode is powered by NeonKore Media for stories they said were too real to tell.